use this session, you may not know that we are on week 13, but indeed we've reached week 13. So you should put your Saturday folder in that folder of week 13, and then we can call it a day. So I'll go over here, put this, and okay, yeah. So according to where we stopped yesterday, the other time or the previous session, we looked at functions, and we primarily looked at functions in a way that we use parameters. Who of you who watched the video, who can quickly tell us what a function parameter is? Oh, no one. Eh? Okay, what's the difference between function parameters and arguments? For those who watched the tutorial.
Parameters are used during function definition. While arguments are passed when you're calling the function. Yes.
Why? Why are they passed when you are calling the function?
Why are they passed when you're calling the function? So that they can be so that they can be referenced to, and their values can be used in the function body.
So that they can be referenced and their values be used in the function body.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a great one. Yeah, those are the fundamentals I would like someone to learn. So OH, what are the different things we define, we specify when we are creating a function?
Pardon, please. Network was jamming.
Oh, sorry about that. I was asking, what are the different things we specify when we are defining a function?
The function name.
Okay, that's one. Thank you. So,
which is specified inside the parentheses.
The function name? No. Maureen, can you, yeah. Maureen, can you come in and help?
Yes, I can help. Sorry, I received the call and I had gone off. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is, what are the different things that we specify when we are creating a function?
Okay, first of all, you have to specify the function name. And you have to look at also the parameters.
Okay.
Yes. Am I missing out something? Let me see. And and the arguments as well.
When you are defining.
Oh, we are defining. Okay, sorry. So when we are defining, we have to first look at the function name first when we are defining. Yes.
Okay. And what else?
Let me first.
What did you say that we are going to do first? All right. So OH, have you remembered some things? All right. So when we are defining a function in PHP, there are two important things and required things. That's the function. Let me put it here. There are two important things. That's the function keyword and the function name. Okay. Then the parenthesis and the.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay. And the curly brackets and we'll come back. And the body of the function. So these are things maybe I had not spoken about. I had spoken them, but we had not written them down. So people might undermine them, but that's the thing. Oh, sorry for the background noise, Henry. So this is what I'm talking about. When defining a function in PHP, there are two important things. That is the function keyword and the function in name, okay? Additionally, you shouldn't forget, yes, shouldn't forget the parentheses and the curly brackets, the curly brackets and the, the function, the body of the function, okay, which is implemented in between the curly brackets. So this is how we do functions. Now we looked at functions which have parameters and those that don't have parameters. So that means that the parameters are optional, but today we are going to look at optional parameters. Optional what? Parameters. So the moment parameters are optional when you are defining functions. So that means you may leave them aside and do not do anything about them or don't introduce them. For example, if I want a function to output, excuse me, excuse me for a minute. Oh, sorry. Maureen, you said sorry. So I don't know sorry for what. Do you need pardon?
No, it's okay.
All right, so I will write function here and I'll write output, for example, maybe school name. So here, if I know that this function will not need school name to keep changing, I may just define the school name here, okay? I may just define the school name here and like that, and I'll consider that I've defined the function and it echoes out the school name. You know, this is a hugely unusable function, unreusable, not usable, but unreusable function in name. Why? Because it will be very hard for you to change its body. So, if I go to let's preview what the function does on the browser. Yeah, it outputs the school name. But then I may want to say function output such a function. I cannot just come and say echo then Daniel. I cannot just do that, because then every time I want to echo the best student in my school or class, the name might change. For that case, we have to make sure that our function is reusable. So instead of defining it like this, I will just comment that out and copy paste to be a little bit faster. I will do this, and then I'll pass a parameter here, and that parameter, I will call it student, best student name. Yeah, you can see my names, the names of my variables. So don't go and start using variables like A, B, which are not self-explanatory. Okay, so then I will just write, I'll write a break here, and then I'll concatenate the best student. There's something we are going to see. It's going to lead us to where we want to go. So if I come and call this function, what do you expect to see? If I just say best student, because this is a function invocation. Okay, welcome Sharon on board. So, so what do you expect to happen in this scenario, guys?
I think it will output an error.
It will?
It will call for an error because you have not passed an argument, and then the function expects an argument.
Okay, let's test that out. And the error we've got is a fatal error. So many people don't like to learn about errors. So when it reaches this moment, they run away from their screens. But I usually like my students to learn about errors. So I like you to know that this will cause a fatal error, and the fatal error usually stops the execution of the code. So for example, if you want to know that it stops, I will, after the function here, I'll write echo function. I'm just writing a normal keyword, a normal sentence. So don't think that this is special. You can write anything there. So I'm going to say function was invoked above. Oh, no, let me just write text after a failing function. You see, we've not seen that text because the execution of the code stopped here when it encountered the fatal error. And when you read the error, it says what David has told us: uncaught argument count error. Too few arguments to function output best student. 0 passed in, then they show you the line, yet they expect 1 argument. So that is one of the reasons why this function, why this code has not worked. But then I can come here and put in a string of Daniel, okay? What is going to happen is that we shall not have the error in this case. Yeah, there you go. We have Daniel. We have text after a failing function. So this is the text, but it's no longer relevant. Now, how can we avoid a function giving us an error, I mean, how can we avoid that? When we don't put a parameter, the function does not scream or the compiler does not return errors. That's when the concept of optional parameters comes in. So we can say, for example, that we can define here output best student. Then we can say best student is equal to null. Null means empty, okay? Then we can come over here and now we can compare. That's why we learned about the comparison operators. So this time around we can compare and say echo, okay, let's compare in a large amount. You can say if best student has something, then we can output something. But even before comparing, let's just do it like echo break line, then best student. So let's first do this without doing the comparisons. So when we do this, we are going to see, have you seen that the function, let me remove this one, this call, Daniel, output best student. So I will comment that out, then we can go and see. So you see, we are not getting an error, but we did not define, we did not assign or specify an argument. What happens is that when you are creating a function and you create a parameter and you assign a value to that parameter, when you call the function, if the parameter's value has not been changed, what is going to happen is that the value in the parameter will be output. So for example, I've put null, that's why you see nothing, but I can just go ahead and put Alex here when I'm defining. So this means every time I call this function without a function argument, Alex will be output. Let's see. Oh, I need to call the function. So you see I'm calling this function without specifying the argument. So do you see Alex has been output? But if I go and call this function again, like this, and put Jonathan, you are going to see that the other function outputs Jonathan, and the one which doesn't have an argument outputs the default value of that particular argument. Tell me you've not understood, or let me know that you've understood. Those who have understood, say yes. Maybe you can unmute and say yes, or you can type it in the chat.
I've understood.
Okay, that's amazing. So I've heard from David and Caroline. They said they've understood. Yes, one more time. Starting from where? Okay, so what I'm gonna do, all right. So here we said optional parameters, but we can also say default parameter values. So what the default parameter value mean is that when you are defining the function at this stage, when you specify a parameter, you assign or initialize a value with it. So that means that in the function body, this variable here will come with its value. So if you do not specify an argument here, that default value is used. If you specify the argument here, the default value is overridden. Is that clear, OH?
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
What if we comment out line 29? What do we really get? Does it only print Jonathan?
Of course, because you've called it once. That's the beauty about functions. Whenever you call a function, it just creates an instance of the other function. It creates like a duplicate of the other function, which behaves the same way, just like the way humans are. When you conceive a child and you give birth, this child will have traits that are not yours, but the behavior are for humans. They can speak, they can walk, they can clap, they can sing, they can eat, they can sleep, they can wake up, just like other humans, but they may not have the same height, they may not have the same weight. So that's why these functions we define like this, they are more powerful because they kind of give each copy of your function its own characteristics. For example, by default, this function it's just like DNA. By default, they expect that you give birth to kids who look like you because of the DNA. But somehow, you know, they are not completely like you. So you're the parent. So have I answered you?
Yes, you have answered me.
So that means that if we call this function, you are welcome. If you call this function and we put like Janet, you see, we have Alex, Jonathan, Janet. Why? We have called the function 3 times. The first time we've called it without specifying the argument. The second time we've called it by specifying Jonathan as the argument. The third time we've called it by specifying Janet as the argument. And this is to prove that functions, and this concept applies to all programming languages. So it is not only PHP. If you were doing Python, you would write a diff instead of the function keyword. You'd write a diff, then you'd write the output, best student, then you put your arguments and go on. So, but when you are calling that function, you will, that's why actually we create functions, because we defined them as named blocks of code, so that we can reuse those blocks as opposed to rewriting those blocks. You can see that we are just calling the function name and giving it a different values, and it's giving us it is outputting the right name. All right, you are welcome on board, Fanny. I've seen you. So, any questions so far, or should we go ahead? All right, I think we should go ahead. Now, the other thing is that you may have a function, that function output what? output student max. So when you are defining a function like this, what do you expect? Guys, help me and we build it together. Thank you. So what do we expect if we are outputting student max?
So we echo?
We echo? No. Let's echoing is okay. We can echo, but from the design perspective,
okay.
If we want the program to output student max, what are some of the requirements? So whenever you are building like a software, there are certain requirements that are important to be put into consideration. And so what are some of those that you may think of, assuming you are building a software and the feature you are working on currently is to output the student max?
Grades.
Grades.
The name of the student or their ID.
Grade, student name or ID. Anything else?
And then the mark. Maybe
okay.
also
Anything else?
the subject or course unit.
Anything else? All right. The rest might not be mandatory, but at least you have these requirements that you want, that are the basis, okay, for outputting or showing student marks. Now, there could be other things like, for example, the term or semester, or, something.
I can't hear you, David. I think maybe power went for them because I'm seeing both the Davids have left. Maybe it's power or something, or internet.
No, internet. He said his internet is going to go off in the middle of the session, but he'll recharge and connect back. So maybe you can wait for a while.
Okay.
Meanwhile, how are you finding?
I'm fair. How are you?
I'm good. By the way, is it Fanny or Carol? My mate in Python, who is supposed to take me up?
Who was supposed to take you out?
Up,
That
up, up
person
in
is not
Python.
me. Maybe
But
it's
you're,
Caroline Jada.
but you're doing Python, right?
Who is doing Python?
You, are you doing Python?
Python the snake? Yes. Me, I even don't know anything in Python. You ask Jada. Jada is a pro in Python.
Hey,
Jada, how are you? Is she even hearing?
Jada is coloring, eh?
Yeah. For us, we call her Jada.
Hello. Sorry, I had gone off. I had gone somewhere. Hi, OH. Hi,
Hi.
Penny.
OH was saying that someone promised to take him out. And
To
I'm
take
saying
you,
me, I'm not that person. And
to
he's
take
saying
you
that
out.
to take him.
Not out.
Hey, okay.
Python was Python.
Yes,
Mm,
that is
Yeah.
Jada, not me.
Python. Yeah, okay. Let's first master PH, because now you how do they call it? David keeps talking about it, like you will start things, so many things.
Multitasking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's first,
David is
yeah,
back. David is back.
One at a
okay.
time.
Yeah, one at a time can get so
Yeah,
overwhelming. Mm.
True. You're welcome back, David.
Oh, hi guys. Sorry about that. I was speaking to myself. Yeah, so I was saying I had the conversation and it was interesting. And yeah, thank you for sticking around. Remember, I had told you about the internet. So I had it had expired. So I've just put it on. Oh my God, MTN is good with their fiber. Imagine how quick you pay and instantly it goes back on. All right. And today we are using a slightly lower package in terms of Mbps, but we are happy sticking to this lower package if at all it proves to be of value than the package we were subscribing to, because the package we used to subscribe to was 20 Mbps and it was 65,000 higher than this one. So let's see. And they did not have this one. I just found out that this one was introduced probably because of competition or something. Let's go. So in terms of UI, we may want to display this as, because I've realized we have very little. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So which means that even the stream is off, right?
It's on. I can see a live.
No, the stream has been on.
Now, does it continue? I don't know.
I don't know. I think you first check. First check before we continue.
Stop live
But it shows
stream.
live.
And does it show this information? This?
It shows live. It shows. Hey, you mean on the YouTube? Let me check. I was seeing on Zoom.
Because it's hard for me to check, to be distracted. But on Zoom, yes, I see that it shows the current things.
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So we may want to, thank you guys. We may want to display in the UI like something like mark, like student name, then mark. Okay, then it will be very important not to leave out the subject. So we may put the subject in the middle, immediately after the student name, and then the mark this side. A simple Oh, where did it go? The mark this side, or marks. Now, let me hope Sharon did not go off thinking that the whatever has done what? Has gone off. So yeah, let me just go ahead, and we may want to display like this. So if this is how we want to display, we may want to define this function with more than one parameter, okay? So that means we may want to specify it with student name, okay? And then subject, and then we may want to put the marks here. So if I call this function right away, do you expect it to give any problems or not? Output student marks. Yes, please. What do you expect this one to do before we preview?
Problem.
Nothing.
An error.
An error. Like?
It's not going to output anything because there is nothing in the function apart from the comments.
Okay. Who think? I had two people saying error. Back your answer. Because Fanny has backed up her answer. She said it's not going to display anything because in the body there is nothing. Then those who are thinking that it's going to display an error, please tell us why.
An error because the values have not been assigned.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The arguments are not passed along with the core.
Okay. So I can see people have started becoming professors. All right. Yeah. And the error we've got is still a fatal error, too few arguments. And if you continue reading it, you see that it says 0 passed in, yet it is expecting 3 on line number 42. So if we go there, that's it. But what if we had done something like this? No, not even null. If we had assigned an empty string, and then, okay, before we assign to these ones, let's see what it's gonna show. We even have two errors, but I want you to see, wait a moment. Wait a moment. So, student name, there's where it is showing us something that I've not, there's an error here. It says optional parameter student name declared before required parameter max is implicitly treated as a required parameter. You see that? So that this parameter we've made the option, okay? This parameter I've made option has been declared before this one, which is not required. Let's go here and see. Before required parameter max is declared. So, and that is a problem. So if you define, this means that if we define this and we don't put values here, okay, if we don't put values here, this one, we need to make sure that these ones are also have options. Like I'll put on the subject and on the marks, I can put 0. Then I can go and refresh, no error. This is when Fanny's idea becomes valid, that the function will output nothing because the body has nothing. But that is happening because we define the default values to the parameters. Okay. So if we go here right now and we say echo student, no, I will put double quotes, then I'll write student name, space, pipe, bracket, subject, space, bracket, max. So who can quickly tell us what this one is most likely to output?
An empty string.
An empty
string, like it won't out. We shall not see anything, but
really?
Then it will have output.
Really? We shall not see
we
anything?
shall see 0. We shall see 0. 2 pipes and a 0. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So who has gotten what David has told us? Who has understood why? And they tell us, oh, I did not break the line. So that's why you see Janet. So I will break the line here. Guys, who has understood why we are getting what David has said? Okay, if we don't know, the reason we are getting 2 pipes, one of the pipe is this one and another pipe is this one, because student name has an empty string and the subject also has an empty string as the default values. Since we've not specified the arguments here, this is what we are bound to get. But I can put things like dashes, 2 dashes, and there you will see that it will output 2 dashes together with the pipes and a 0. The 0 is for the max. So if we go ahead, duplicate this and we put the student name has, can you give me the names? Okay. Jennifer, comma, subject, ICT, comma, 90. So this one will do slightly different thing. You see that? So this is how this is helpful. And this one will help us. If a student scored, if a student didn't score any marks, what is going to happen is that we can put their name, okay, like John, we put the subject and we can leave the third argument empty. So let's see what this one will do. The system will definitely give this student a 0 because the third argument had nothing. And by default, it is set to 0. So PHP will know that this is an optional parameter, but that parameter has a default value, which is 0. So it will put it there because here you specified that parameter. Its value will always be put here unless you explicitly say this is the max. Yeah, good. Are we good?
Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, who wants to tell us what we've just done from line 33 to line 46? Please, someone volunteer for your own benefit and the benefit of other students. and please break down this. Thank you very much.
Okay, let me try to volunteer here. So a function was defined and the function name was output student marks. And then we specified the different parameters. We had the student name, then we had the subject, then we had the marks. But then if you look at our code, the student name was left to be option, and the subject as well, it was left to be option because it can change at any minute. So with the marks was specified to be an integer of 0 because you might find like if we go down our code, you'll find that some people might leave out, okay, like let me just assume one person might leave out like the third how should I call it? Sorry.
Parameter.
The third parameter. And that is for the marks. So it will pick from the system itself and it will just automatically say is 0. So if we go on line 34, we're breaking down the parameters that we would want to use in our code. So the parameters we gave like a student name or ID. Some people would prefer using the ID, not the student name. Then would have like grades, would have mark, subject or course unit, student name, subject, and marks. Those are the parameters that we preferred to use in our function. So when we came to line 40, where we're echoing the parameters, that is the student name, subject, marks, and we broke. So we came down here, the output, we are now calling the function itself. So if you look at line 45, we are calling the function, which is our function name is output student marks. But inside, remember we had the parameters, that is subject name, subject, and marks, right? So now here we have Jennifer, we have ICT, and we have 90. So they would definitely, if we are to execute the code, it would definitely execute it in the same order. Like where the student name is supposed to be, it will be Jennifer, the subject will be ICT, and the marks will be 90. But if you look at our 46, line 46, here we only had the student name, the subject, and we didn't have the marks of what? Of John. So definitely the system will assume that, okay, John got a 0. And that's how I understood the entire code.
Okay, guys, thank you very much, Caroline. I think you've understood. However, there's one thing I want to clarify. Here, we were not defining our parameters. We were planning and defining the requirements, okay? So I can put here requirements, okay? Then after defining the requirements, we can decide whether these requirements should be as parameters or part of the functioning body or somewhere else. Is that clear?
Yes.
All right, that's great. So what, if you've had anything that Caroline didn't clarify and you want to clarify, please go ahead, because the more we understand it, the better. Okay, and the more you get involved, the better you own the knowledge. That's why you hear me being on you. Can someone answer this? Can someone do this? Because that's how you're going to own the knowledge. That's how it's going to be yours. Okay. All right. Hello. Okay, no one. So do you agree with her what she said? If you agree, that's well and good. I would be happy to stop here. We shall look at, in the next session, we shall look at high order functions, custom high order functions, and then we shall start looking at inbuilt functions and start building. So just expect that by the end of the session on Tuesday, we are creating a new WhatsApp group and destroying the current one. For in that WhatsApp group, we are going to have members who have completed this series, who would have completed this series on Tuesday. So if you don't come on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Or 8:30, please, and we leave you out, you'd forgive us, but we just want to pick up pace and we want to go to the intermediate level of PHP where we are going to work on tools. And because we've covered the fundamentals, and on Tuesday we are completing those fundamentals, then the next Saturday we shall be covering things that are not fundamentals, the real things, integrating PHP in HTML so that we can work with process PHP form values, so that we can connect PHP to database, so that we can connect PHP to HTTP networks, so that we can use PHP to write and manipulate files. So quite a lot of things. And if we do not want, if we don't appear, in fact, you know, on Tuesday, we are left out. Yeah. So is that good?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I got this question like from the other error that we had encountered earlier. And it goes, given that you have to define optional and mandatory arguments in a function, in which order should they be defined?
Oh, wow. That in which order should the required be defined and
Yes.
the option be defined?
Yes.
My suggestion, or what we would call a good practice, is to always define the required parameters as the first. In fact, I can demonstrate something. So for example, you see this function here, when we were calling this, what happened is that we left out the third argument, right? But are we able to leave out the first? You see, you know, can we leave out the first? I doubt, okay? We can't, because it's going to put ICT in the position of the first, okay? So let's see. You see that? It put ICT in the name, and it thought that we don't have anything in a student name, and it thought, yeah. So what were you saying, David? You were saying something.
What if you left an empty space and put a comma before ICT?
That.
Yes.
Let's see, which you already see.
It's complaining.
It's complaining. And in many programming languages, it will be like that. Okay. In many programming languages, it will be like that. Okay. So
yes,
please it can't work. Let's see. Wait. You see, syntax error, which is the passing error, passing errors of the processing errors. So syntax error, unexpected token comma on line 48. And the token they are talking about is this one. So we cannot leave out unless we just put like an empty string like that. Yes. You see that, David? That can work. Yes. Or if we put something like null, because these are all considered values, this will work. Okay, let's see. Though it might tell us that since I've put null, we might, yeah, you see, it has not output the name, but it has also not output the dashes, because null has replaced the dashes. So to answer your question, The ones that are mandatory or required arguments should appear first, should be defined first at the left, and the ones that are option can be defined at the right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. So any other question, guys? No question?
I have a question. Why did you use the or operator instead of the and? Okay, what would happen if the and?
Where?
Echo, student name.
No, sorry to cut you short. This is not an operator in this case. This is just a pipe that will be output as part of the string. And the way it is being out, yeah, the way it is being output, it's here.
I was wondering. Okay,
Yeah.
it's okay.
All right, thank you very much.
That means I can do without it.
Yeah, this is just something we put to separate our values. So if I do this, excuse me. Yeah, if I don't put it there, we are not, you see how the values are being output?
Okay. Then I'll put a comma.
Yeah, so you can put a comma, a pipe, whatever you want. I prefer the pipe.
Okay.
Okay, you're welcome.
Can the backslash also work in that section of the pipe?
Definitely it will, because here we are not escaping. If we were escaping, it would not. Do you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, it will, because here we have two double quotes at the side. And we are not outputting quotes in the middle. That's why. But be very careful with the backslash, because you have to be understanding string formatting or concatenations better for you to use it. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we can call it the end of today's session. It was great having you on the call. Let me wish you a great Saturday and a great first day of the week tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you for the session.
You are very
Thank you
welcome.
so much.
You are very welcome. You are welcome. See you. I want to stop this stream on YouTube, but I don't see the stop stream. Yes. Oh, David has reminded us. Can somebody send the form for attendance, so that we need to track the attendance?
Okay, I'm going to send. I don't know why I keep forgetting.
Did you share it